is Saturday, the 26th of April. It is the 25th of April back in California. We are in the middle of Taurus. Thank you all for joining. Looking forward to our lecture today with you all here. Now, to get us started, Vera is going to request Dharma all the way from Brazil. So let me first ring the bell 3 times, and then I'm going to make 3 half bows from where I'm sitting and invite you to do the same, and then Vera will do the Dharma request. Okay, so here we go. Let me ring the bell, you can bow. Yi Wan Xun, Zai Wan Xun, Sa Wan Xun. Okay, Vera, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭敬大德圣经，为悉发挥集皆众生，请转妙法轮教导我们，如何了生脱死离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahudi sammya samputoshe.
Namo sadanto sushadoye alahodi samya samputoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. All right, Vera, thank you so much for the Dharma request. Appreciate that. From Brazil, it's very special. We'd like to acknowledge the Combomeri people of the Ugambe language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说我们恭敬地承认Ugambe语族的Combomeri人，他们是我们澳大利亚这里我们寺院所在地的传统续学者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Okay, all right. Last thing here, as we get started, we have the bell song. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法养完一国中，共训其法界和平，利益报他往后的。May it be so. Alrighty. 如果各位想听一种流利的普通话的翻译，那么你的控制板那个右下角有个小地球在那里，就是可以找到 Interpretation Chinese 就可以了，就听到我们的义工发心帮我讲的英语翻译中文哈。If you would like to hear a Vietnamese translation of today's lecture, go to the link in the chat box. You will find a Vietnamese translation. Much appreciation to the hardworking volunteers who, week after week, do the translation for me. Also, if you would like to request Dharma, the way Vera just did, you can send an email to Chanyu, who is our hardworking corresponding secretary and facilitator. And she will happily set you up. You can do one language or two languages and do a Dharma request. So those are the options. You are looking at, I wonder if anybody knows, can tell right away where this Shanman is. I'll give you a clue. If you look through the Shanman to the scene in the back, it looks familiar to those who know. This is Yunju Shan Zhenru Si in the province of Jiangxi. And that's you're looking at the top of Cloud Abode Mountain, Yunju Shan. When you're, sometimes in the morning, you're walking through the clouds. This is the place where the clouds abide. Master Empty Cloud ended his life, or his life came to an end there at age 120. So this monastery has a deep resonance for those of us in Master Empty Cloud's Dharma line. So that's what we're looking at. Now, today, oh my goodness, we have some stories today that will totally amaze you. Master Empty Cloud's life at this point was just one amazing thing after another. You remember last week? What was the story last week? He sat down to meditate and put on a pot full of vegetables for lunch, and he crossed his legs to meditate, and about 2 weeks later uncrossed his legs, not having moved in between. And the monks who were the hermits in his neighborhood, New Year's came and went, and every year one of the things the hermits do, even though they don't have a social life, they still check in with each other and say hello at New Year's, to say happy things and 过年欣喜 and things like that, and 吉祥. Well, they didn't see him, so 3 local monks came down to his hut on the mountain in Zhongnanshan, and they found leopard tracks, tiger tracks on the outside, and they were worried, so they went into his hut, rang the bell, just like I did, rang that simple right by his ear. They went like that. Now, let's see here. Do I have... Yeah, original sound is on. So you all heard that, right? And so he opened his eyes and said, oh, you've come for lunch. Oh, good. Here, it's on the stove. It should be ready by now. They lifted the lid of the pot, and there was an inch of mold growing on the yuto, on the taro in the pot. He had been sitting still in samadhi for weeks and without getting up. So the monks who woke him out of samadhi were like, oh my goodness, this is legendary stuff. This is amazing. And then he said, yeah, never mind, let's have lunch. So they put on some more yuto and taro and had lunch. So that brings us up to today. And here we are. Let's go with the Chinese first. It's 1902 in Beijing. It is the Boxer Rebellion. The aftermath of the Boxer Rebellion, which was the 8 nations, allied armies, were now set loose inside of China, and they were running amok. We won't talk about that today, but if anybody is interested in the history of 20th century China, that's a very sad chapter of the brutality of the marauding armies. So here we are. He is now in the far northwest of China. It's 1902. He's 63 years old. 雁愁达乃消遁, weary of visitors, leaving by night. Ready? Here we go. 父师去后，遐迩僧俗，皆来观拜。共雁愁达，乃消遁，一见一丹。又向万里无村草处去，先至太白山，居岩洞中。不久，借尘师，种机智，向月朝峨眉山，观佛光，与稽山无异。夜看万盏明灯，与五台同。Okay, oh my goodness. After Dharma Master Fu Cheng and the others had left, those are the ones who rang the bell, right? Bhikshus and lay people bhikshus and lay people from far and near began coming to call on and bow to the Master. He soon became weary of receiving so many visitors, and so one evening, shouldering his clothes bag, he left off for the distant wilderness where there is not even one blade of grass. Initially, he went to Taibaishan and lived in a chasm, but it was not long before Dharma Master Jiachan arrived, following the Master's footprints. They decided to go together on a pilgrimage to Eme Mountain, where the Buddha lights the Master saw were identical with the ones he had seen on Jizu Mountain. At night, he observed lights as bright as 10,000 lamps, similar to the lights he saw on Wutai Mountain. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the picture first. What's going on? Here he is. He's got his rag robe. I don't see his clothes bag. It's sunset or sunrise in the wilderness, and it looks like he's moving pretty fast. So he is escaping what? Popularity. He's escaping his reputation. What is going on? Can you read between the lines? Why is this happening? What happened was the monks who found him sitting in samadhi for 2 weeks told the story. They went down to Xi'an or Chang'an, Xi'an at the time, I guess, and said, oh my goodness, Master Empty Cloud, Master Doqing, he sat in samadhi for 2 weeks without moving. And so in China, if you have a reputation like that, people start to show up. They want to 借光, they want to 占你的光, right? They want to get close to you and ask their questions, and because you have to be a sage to be able to sit still like that. So too many people. It's the downside of being a real cultivator. So people, this is really a good lesson for people who think, oh boy, it must be great to be a famous monk. All the people come and make offerings to you. No, indeed, the real monks, 真人不露相, 露相非真人, they say. The true people don't advertise about their cultivation. Anybody who says he's got or she has got real cultivation, be careful, because 非真人, they're going to have afflictions once their reputation gets out. So truly, he is a true cultivator, and so as soon as he becomes famous, I'm out of here. He wants to head out to the wilderness. Let's take a look at Shifu's verse. 习瓦宝殿李真应，年于耳顺领修僧，宗门知识参学宝，欢留秀二又登城。欢留树二又登城。In the Shi Wa Tenantile Hall, The master bowed to the elder monk Yingzhen. His age was now over 60. He became a leading Sangha. A well-known advisor of the Chan school, he treated his visitors well. The master stayed there happily for a few days and then was on his way. Now, the verse doesn't seem to relate to the story because the Shifu was also keeping track of the Nianpu. So here is the Nianpu. Here's Master Empty Cloud's own, his own journal. Okay, so let's see here. Here it is. 相遇彭雪朱与包餐而去. So the monks who rang the bell to wake him up took some snow and melted it to boil the taro. And after they ate their fill, they left. So this catches us up to the last episode, right? So the monks ate with him now that he's out of samadhi. But then what did they do? They went and spread the word about, what they'd just seen. That's pretty exciting. Somebody really can sit like that. 赋诗去后不书二远近僧俗. So, 先来诗语. So it wasn't long when a steady stream of visitors came up to the hermit's hut. Oh no, that's not what you want if you're a hermit. You become a tourist destination. 厌于求打. I really got tired of greeting people and having to be a host. 耐消顿. So I split at night quietly. 一见心理. I put my bag over my shoulder. 又上万里无春草处去. And I went out to the place where there was not even a single inch of grass. Okay, did that catch your attention? The idea of a place where there's not even a single inch of grass. Where would that be? How about Taibaishan? Okay, where is Taibaishan? Here we go. Take a look. Okay, Xi'an is right here. Everybody see? Zhongnan Shan is right here. This is Zhongnan. So where did he go? He went, this is already rugged. I tell you, Zhongnan Shan has wild animals. It's got great snakes. It's got no amenities whatsoever, no electricity, right? But Taibaishan looks like this. Not a blade of grass. And this is where Master Empty Cloud went to avoid being social. There you go. And he stayed in a cave. He found a cave. That's where he hung out. Oh man, this monk had stiff bones. Can you imagine surviving out here where there's just nothing, right? There you go. Looks just like home, doesn't it? So comfortable, right? What do you suppose the Wi-Fi reception is like out there? Yeah, staying in a cave. This is where he went. Well, here's a valley. So, this is where Master Empty Cloud went. Yeah, so interesting that he found his way out truly to the wilds. Nothing out there but birds that like to fly at high altitudes. Okay. Now, let's take another look at the, not that. Take one more look at the Nianpu. Here we go. I first went to Taibaishan and lived in a cave, not for long. Jiechen, the monk whose name is Jiechen, we met him back at Zhongnanshan. He found me. He followed my trail. Amazing. How could he? Master Empty Cloud was trying hard to not be found. And Master Jiechen found him. Shangyue, Yuanyou, of course we get along, he knew him really well. They decided to go on a pilgrimage. They're going to walk together at this point. So, Master Jie talked Master Empty Cloud out of his cave on the barren mountain, and their destination was Umeishan. They're going to go to Ume Mountain. So they went to all these different places where he mentions all these different famous places along the way, Xingzhi Chengdu, and they got to Chengdu, the city, the capital city of Sichuan province. Now, if those of you who remember, after Master Empty Cloud's pilgrimage came to an end, he went this way as well. So he's now, he went to Wutaishan, he bowed to Wutaishan, and then traveled to Tibet, you remember, and then Sichuan, and then Yunnan, and then back all the way to Beijing. And Beijing was in chaos, and so following the empress, he came back out to the west, and now he's going around in a circle again, only he has a companion this time. So they got to Umeishan, they went up to Jinding, Golden Summit, Golden Peak, Guan Fo Guang, and they took a look at the Buddha's light. Yu Ji Zu Shan Fo Guang Wu Yi. It was just the same as the Buddha light at Jizu Mountain, Chickenfoot Mountain in Yunnan. That's Maitreya's mountain. Ye kan wan deng, wan zhan ming deng. There were 10,000 bright lights at night in the sky. Yu wu tai bai zhi deng zhi hui xiang tong. Similar to the lights that show up at Wutaishan. So you remember, those of you who have been listening in on the story as we go, remember that after his pilgrimage, he got to Wutaishan, Five Peaks Mountain, and he kind of, he'd been traveling for 3 years. Now he stopped and he entered a Chan session for 7 days, came out, looked up in the sky and saw Fo Guang, Fo Deng, they were called, Zhi Hui Deng, wisdom lamps in the sky. Then he saw Master Zhenying, the old monk Zhenying, who was 70 years old and was the leader of the entirety of Umeishan, Zhongman Zhi Shi Ye, Huan Liu Shu Er. So he and Master Jiecheng stayed with Zhenying. I don't know anything about Master Zhenying, but here's his reputation. He was admired by everybody on Umeishan. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Umeishan, what this like. Umeishan, as people know, is Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's mountain. This is one of what are called the Sidamingshan, the 4 holy mountains. And each holy mountain is associated with a bodhisattva. So, Guanyin Bodhisattva is which one? Putoshan in the East China Sea. That's where Master Empty Cloud began his pilgrimage. So, Putoshan is Guanyin Pusa, compassion. Okay? Then, what else? In Anhui, there is Jiuhuashan, and Jiuhuashan is connected to Dizang Pusa, Earth Store Bodhisattva. Yeah, lots of miracles there at Jiuhuashan. That's a really tall mountain. If you travel to Jiuhuashan, you have to climb. At Putoshan, it's an island. In fact, it's 2 islands, Puto and Luoqie. So that's different. Guanyin Pusa's Nanhai, Guanyin Bodhisattva in the southern sea. So then you get to Anhui, Jiuhuashan, it's really steep. Now, if you keep going, you go to Wutaishan, 5 Peaks, and that is Manjushri, Dazhihui. Manjushri Bodhisattva has been appearing at Wutaishan for thousands of years. Sometimes you can, if you are really, really sincere, or if you need some serious teaching, if you need to get scolded, Manjushri Bodhisattva will appear to scold you. That happens too, and they keep track of that. There's a great book called 文殊大师英灵录, highly recommended for miracle stories, responses of Manchu Pusa. So you can read that. Then the last one is Pushen Pusa. Pushen Pusa is Samantabhadra, that's Umeishan. Now, Umeishan is, it's in Sichuan, and Sichuan is a whole different experience. My visit to Umeishan in Sichuan province it happened in 1990, so that was already 30 some years ago. And my goodness, my memory of Sichuan is everything was larger than anywhere else that I'd been. I remember watching farmers on bicycles taking their crops to the marketplace, and their squashes, the guava, were 3 times larger than anything available in eastern China. As you walk up Umeishan, there's a lot of steps. You go up many steps. And on either side of the steps, the medicine vendors, there are little stalls from, I guess, farmers or gatherers who go out onto the wilds of the Meishan and come back with ginseng roots, come back with dried bats, bianfu, that are staked out with their wings spread, bigger than any bat you've ever seen, is dead and dried, ready to sell to the doctors who are going to make bat medicines. Oh, just amazing. The fruit, the melons, the gourds, the squashes, the sweet melons and nangua and donggua and huanggua, they were all just huge. We were astonished at how fruitful and fertile is the soil of Sichuan to produce all these amazing crops that were just readily available to the left and to the right for farmers who grew them and brought them in to sell. So that's one. But the spiritual practices at Umeishan are also equally amazing. So on top of Jinding, there is an image of Pushen Pusa, which looks like this. Oh, no, redirect. Okay, here we go. Here we are. There is this stupendous image of Pushen Pusa that looks in 4 different directions at once. And this, you can see the snow that has fallen. This is you can stand on Umeishan and look across and see Tibet. Here we go. Right, you get the idea. Just huge. Tibet is over there. You look in the distance and you can see the mountains of Tibet. Here we are. Here is this colossal image that was dedicated, Kaiguang, just not that many years ago. I remember when that was big news about Umeishan's huge image. So there we are. Now, let's take a look at this question of Foguang. If we listen to Master Empty Cloud, then the lights, what did he say? He said, that they climbed Golden Peak and they looked at the Buddha's light, and it was no different than the light at Chizushan, at Chickenfoot Mountain, which is another famous Bodhisattva's mountain. It's Maitreya. And we know that when Master Empty Cloud traveled to Jizushan, there was a legend that only when a sage arrives there will be a bell sound. And as he arrived, the bell started ringing, and it hadn't rung for hundreds of years. So everybody was like, "Oh, who's there? Where's the sage?" Right? So the lights came out at Jizushan, and he says the lights now at Umeishan were no different. And then at night, there was this amazing flood of lights that were like the lights at Wutaishan. My question is, were these lights shining only for Master Empty Cloud and his companion Jie Chen Fashi, or are these lights that other people can see as well? Why do I ask? It's because here is a contemporary report about the Buddha's lights in the everyday press. This story was written, this is the Sichuan Jingji, what is that? Sichuan Shema Jingji Wang. Okay, this is the economic news. It's 2023, so that's only 2 years ago. And this is Umeishan. Look at the cloud cover. The reporting about the Buddha's light at Umeishan is very dismissive of magic. It doesn't say that this light, it's not the way Master Empty Cloud described it. They're using science. These are actual photographs, okay? So here's the light around the statue. Here's another halo. It's right? There's a spectrum, what do they call it? An aura around, and you can see all the crowds, right? This is the opening. This is the Kaiguang. Look at all the people. Thousands and thousands of people coming to see it. But when they describe it, they use very ordinary scientific language. Here's how they report. Let's see here. Here we go. Translator's going to have a trouble with this, so I'll have to. This is from the website. I used ChatGPT to help me translate. So hold on here. So what do they say? The Ume light, the Foguang, also known as Baoguang, appears like a halo. Believers in Buddhism think that the Buddha light is Pushen Pusa, showing his form to ordinary beings. So it's called Baoguang. This 2023 report says, we have a question. When you stand at the Jinding of Mount Ume with your back to the sun, and there is a mist or a cloud, there's a halo, red outside, purple inside, appearing on the cloud below with your shadow in the center. As the person moves, the shadow moves along. If you leave, the halo is gone. It says, this is the mysterious Buddha light phenomena. So it's saying that it's not magical. That's what this article wants us to know. Let's see, not that, it's this one. It's saying, don't think it's so special. It's simply the crystals of moisture in the air. So here is the photographer who took this picture, and he's got a halo around him, which is, they say, meteorological. This is the weather. 这就是气候的现象。这是很普通的现象. That's what this article wants us to know. Okay, now, what do we think about that? Do we agree that this is not ganyin? This is not a response? Is it Samantabhadra sending us a miracle? Here's the photographer, and here's the light around him. Okay? So, I want to ask everybody who's looking what you think. Is it a lingan, a magical response from Pushen, or is it simply just the light? They say it happens pretty much from 2 to 4 p.m. every day. And they say, here is an airplane. Airplanes, with the right meteorological orientation to the sun also get the spectrum around them. Okay, that's what the report here says. Says it's been shining for 1900 years, 2000 years they've had the Baoguang, the Foguang. It says it is just a natural physical phenomena. Okay? It's because the sun comes from behind you, sending your shadow into the clouds. Tiny ice crystals form a circular rainbow, and they say that's all there is. It is a special natural phenomena, like Huangshan you Yunhai, Taishan you Richu, or Qiantang He you Tai. So it says, 没什么, it occurs every 5 days, once every 5 days. And that's what you see, it says. So, okay, now, we are scientific people and we want to seek truth in all things. We don't want to simply believe old stories uncritically. We want to use our knowledge, our wisdom. What I get from Master Empty Cloud's account is something different than what the 2023 newspaper reporter, who is very sober, very scientific, what he reports. That is just meteorological function. And when I look at these pictures, I wonder, where's the shadow that is picking up the ice crystals? That's very interesting, isn't it? There was a report that when the Puxian image, the four-sided Puxian Posa image, was Kaiguang was inaugurated, that there was this light, which is not the shadow of the photographer by any means. So, very interesting, right? On one hand, we have a sage, Master Empty Cloud, who has, wherever he goes, he has strange occurrences happen, kind of following him. And yet we've, so I went to Umeishan, I stood on the top of Jinding, and there was a couple dozen other pilgrims with me, tourists standing around watching, and our monks were there. And we did not see Foguang. We didn't see ice crystals. We were not there on the right day out of 5 days to get the phenomenon to happen. And it certainly didn't show up the way Master Empty Cloud describes it. My thinking is what he is talking about is his own gongde, his own merit and virtue, stimulating a response. Just the way when he was at Jizushan, there was a bell ringing. When he was at Wutaishan, there were Buddha's lights in the sky, wisdom lamps in the sky. I think it's a response to Master Empty Cloud. So both things can be true. Ordinarily, once every 5 days, if you stand from 2 to 5 p.m. on the right spot, the sun behind you, there can be a circular cloud of light, like a rainbow, and that's one kind of Foguang. What we're seeing in the photo of Master Shi Ganying, okay, 好, Mr. Cui from Xi'an says it's Ganying. I think so too. So anyway, interesting, right? How science tries to explain something that Buddhist believers know belongs to the virtue of the cultivator. Okay, next. Are we ready? Do we have an appetite for another unbelievable story? I think so. What's the story? 懒断流急堕水, falling into a swift current when a rope breaks. Ready? 下山寻喜向池 大峨寺、长老坪、毗卢店、下江县、地阴村、铜柳沙河、早至午、后传道、众街灯、供让戒示灯、以一单地上、拱玉灯、蓝忽断糟糕、刘复吉、公益右手攀船弦，周人多，次级复工不动，静目。Oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. Descending from the mountains, he and Master Jiechun passed by Xixianghe, Dae Monastery, Zhanglao Plain, Bairochana Hall, and up through Xiajiang Prefecture. These translations, you can read them. Elephant Washing Lake, Big Mountain Monastery, Distinguished Elder Plain, Bairochana Hall, and then the Gorge Prefecture. Upon arriving at Silver Village, they waited to cross a river, waiting all morning until the ferry finally arrived. Everyone else boarded before the monks, including Dharma Master Jiechun. Handing the latter his bag, the master was about to board when the mooring rope suddenly broke. The current was swift, yet the master caught the gunwale of the boat with his right hand. Since the boat was overloaded, any slightest imbalance would have caused it to capsize. The master, therefore, did not move, but remained floating in the water till the end of the day. Somehow our teacher has this thing with bodies of water. He falls in a lot. Look at the picture. There he is. So they're out on this very remote space. They're in the boondocks, way out. And there's a river, and there's a ferry boat. And the ferry boat, is it run by the Sichuan government? No, it's run by some guy who's got a boat, who makes his living by taking people across the river. And at this point, somehow, the mooring rope that holds the ferry boat to the dock breaks. The ferry is full of people, and Master Empty Cloud, Ni Xian, right? Everyone else gets on board first, including his companion, Jiechun Pasher. Master Empty Cloud goes to the end of the line, which is typical Bodhisattva behavior, and when he hands his bag over, the rope breaks. He falls in, but instead of landing entirely in the water, one hand grabs the side, the gunwale, the side of the boat. There it is. He's in the back. He's holding on for his life with one hand. Everybody is like shouting, screaming, crossing themselves, reciting Guanyin Bodhisattva's name, because why? Their Shifu is in the water. And the situation, the boat is so full of people. Probably the ferry boatman waited until he had enough to make it worthwhile to cross over. But it's so full that it's low in the water. And in order to get on board, Master Empty Cloud would have to push down and capsize the boat. So the ferry, the boat's captain is saying, don't move, don't move, don't move. We're all going to drown if you move. Just hang on. So he hangs on. And he's in the water for the entire ride down the river till the end of the day, when the boat makes it into its dock, its next port. Can you imagine what kind of strength is required to once again bob down a river? He did this on the way to the Chan session, remember? Somehow Master Empty Cloud has this affinity with bodies of water and falling in. I don't know. There is a way of looking at his life that talks about all the disasters that he encountered and the difficulties that he survived as a monk. Many times his life was hanging by a thread. During his pilgrimage, twice, face to face with one of the soldiers from the 8th Road Army who has him in his gun sights. Master Empty Cloud talks him out of it, right? So over and over again, his karma takes him just to the point of physical danger, and then he's saved. Whew. But he pays a price every time. Take a look here. 攀船从流渡苦厄，衣食足破血染河，晒金冠风天寒雨，旅店不留僧伽也。Clinging to the boat in the river, he crossed over suffering and misery. His clothes were drenched, his feet were cut, his blood stained the river. Arriving finally at Shiajing Pass, where it was cold and raining, they went to an inn, but the Sanghans were not allowed to stay. Okay, this Shifu's verse gives us a preview of the next episode, and it's a spoiler, so I wasn't going to tell that episode. We'll catch it next week, but I'll give you a preview, which is, well, first let's go here next. Here we go. Okay. It's let's see here, down to here. Right there. That's where we are. Okay. What does he say? We went down the mountain to Elephant Washing Pond, Da'esi Monastery, Elder Plain, Vairochana Hall, Umei County, Xiajingxian, to the county that was the gorge. This is out in the wilds of western. If this were a map of America, this would be New Mexico and Arizona, right? If this were a map of Australia, it would be WA, Western Australia. 过流沙河, they had to cross over this flowing sand river, and this waterfall, 从早之午到后船. They waited all day for the ferry to arrive, 中介上船, and everybody else got on first. I let Jie Chen board first before me. Yi Xingli Shunshang. I gave him my bag, and I was just about to get on board when Xian Hu Su Hu Duan, the rope holding it, what's it called? A hawser is the rope that you tie up to the dock with. It broke, and Shi Fuji, the Liu Fuji, the current was really fast. I took my right hand and I grabbed the gunwale of the boat. Chuan Xiao Renduo. It was a small ferry boat, and it was chock full of people. Xiao Ci Bian Fu, Ji Fu. So I stayed in the water on the side of the boat. I didn't move, and just 从流而下, 息在水中. I stayed in the water, and because if I had pulled myself up on the boat, it would have capsized all the way until the evening. 船泊岸. When the boat made the next dock, 众先我上, they all pulled me up. 一库一两组解破小石割破了. My feet were bloody from having hit all of the sharp rocks. So now, this is our enlightened master who came down from Zhongnanshan because he was too many people, knew who he was, were coming to get his blessing, coming to bow to him, and and ask him for favors. So he slipped out, decided to go on a pilgrimage, and he's had miracles happen. He saw Buddha's lights in the sky. He, first of all, went out to this barren mountainside, but Master Jie Chun found him there, and so they decided to travel together. He's seen the wonders of Umeshan and decided to keep on going. Now he's fallen in a river. His feet are cut to ribbons because he had to bob in the water all day long. He gave up his comfort and safety on behalf of the passengers in the boat. So I want to ask everybody listening, what would you do? Suppose it was you. Suppose you had the choice to keep in the water, so keep everybody else safe, or would you insist that you first of all, would you let everybody else get on board in front of you? Would that be a possibility? Or would you demand that you, because you're an elder monk, you're a famous individual, you get to board the boat first? What would you do? Imagine. Okay, now, as I look at the time, actually, let's do the next one, because the choice he made is so typical for Master Empty Cloud that he doesn't care for himself. He only cares that other people get, he will happily go last in order to save others. Let's see here. Hold on. Okay, well let's do it from the without the picture, and we'll catch the picture up next week. All right? Hold on. Be right with you. Here we go. Here's what happens. We'll take it off the Nianpu. Okay, here we go. So we left him dripping with water from the river. Both his feet are cut and bleeding. And Tianhan Xiayu, it was cold and it started to rain. Can you imagine being more miserable? He is completely uncomfortable. Xing Di Shai Jingguan, the two of them, the two monks, walked to a place called Shaijing Pass. Lu Dian, Bu Xu Sengren, there was an inn, but they wouldn't take monks. Maybe because he's all wet and bleeding. Maybe they thought there's trouble here. Don't trust the bleeding monk, something like that. 界外有一庙. Okay, luckily, across the street, down the block, there was a monastery, there was a temple, 一生住守, and one monk was living there all by himself, should be good. 求宿在山. We asked him if we could spend the night 3 times over. 不许, no, I'm sorry, you may not stay here, says the monk, the only monk living alone in the monastery. This is the second time that we know he's been refused entrance. It happened on the pilgrimage at this also. When they saw Wenji, they saw the beggar. They wouldn't let him in. Ling Suman Wai Shi Tai Di. Outside, somewhere in the town, there was a performance stage, probably like a bandstand in the center of town. And so what did they do? They took shelter underneath the bandstand. Di shi yi shi. The ground was wet and our clothes were sopping. 以前向僧买鹤草. So we had some cash, so they went back to ask the monk who refused them entrance to sell them some grass. 一师来2把石杆. He said, fine, I'll sell you two bales of grass so we can burn it to stay warm. But the grass was soaking wet and wouldn't burn. 少不着，值得忍受. They couldn't light a fire to get warm with the grass that they bought because it was soaking wet. All they could do was endure. All they could do was simply wait. Just endure. 忍受. Okay? So, 语戒师坐之天明. I sat in meditation with Master Jie, right, Jie Chen, until daybreak. 埋得几个苦椒吧食之. So what we ate was buckwheat. We ate some buckwheat. That's what we could buy. 忍着痛乃向前进. So I just endured the pain and moved forward. He's bleeding, he's cold, he's soaking wet, he's hungry, and the innkeeper turns them away. The monastery turns them away. Now, when we hear this, this is setting us up for what's to come. And what's to come is Master Empty Cloud's evaluation of the situation of the Sangha in Yunnan and Ume, in Sichuan province. I won't spoil it, that's coming next. So, can you imagine the situation? He's getting turned away. He's in need of a place to get dry, he's a place to heal the bottom of his feet, which were cut because he was floating down the river and holding onto the boat with one hand. And so he takes refuge underneath a deserted bandstand with his companion. They can meditate. Let's go buy some grass to warm ourselves up, to light a fire. Sorry, it's wet, doesn't burn. Oh my goodness. So they take a little bit of money and buy the coarsest food available, which is buckwheat, and they eat that to put something in their stomachs. So life as a sage, as a monk, is not always easy. Don't assume that even if you're enlightened, that is the answer to all your worries. We know that the Buddha himself had attempts on his life multiple occasions. Even the Buddha had people trying to kill him after he was the Buddha. My goodness. Karma is never off by a hair's breadth. That's it for today. Come back next week. We'll get the picture of Master Empty Cloud's enduring, what his patience asked him to endure. All right? Let's make a wish, everybody. Dedicate merit wherever you would like it to go. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. Give people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity. May our minds away to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. One more time. May all become compassionate and wise. Here is is an image of Guanyin Bodhisattva, we can bow, and Shifu's picture is there. Here we go. First bow. Second bow. Bow 3. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That's going to do it for us for today. We'll see you all next week for more adventures of Master Empty Cloud. Amitofo. Bye now.